Hi, everybody. Welcome to the ATDev Podcast. I'm your host, Owen Kent, and I'm joined today by my lovely co founder of ATDev, Todd Roberts. Thanks for being here today, Todd.
Hello, Owen. Of course. Yeah. Happy to spend some time with you. It's not like we don't spend a lot of time together anyway. So love to spend another time to chat with you.
I know, great. So, this is our first podcast, and I'm so excited that we're finally doing it. And I think we'll just go ahead and get in. So, I know a lot about your journey already as your co founder, but I would love just to hear a bit more about what started your journey with assistive technology.
Yeah, of course. So I would say really the initial start of it was, it seems like so many parts of this journey have been by chance, but the initial part of it was just like that. It was by chance. I was a freshman mechanical engineering student at Northeastern University, and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do within mechanical engineering. I actually thought I wanted to build film equipment at the time. But my roommate was the manager for the Northeastern basketball team, and he, as part of his role as being a manager for the basketball team, he was working closely with a local kid who had cerebral palsy, who had joined the team as sort of a way to get involved with a sports organization and a community. And my roommate Dylan had also joined a club called Enabling Engineering, where the goal of the club was to build devices for people either chronically disabled or the elderly to make their lives more easy. Essentially, assistive technology. And Dylan decided to try to make a Xbox controller for this gentleman with cerebral palsy. His name was Max, because Max had always wanted to play Xbox with his twin brother. And so Dylan started the project by basically taking Xbox controller. This was before Microsoft had put out the adaptive controller, and soldering wires directly to it, running it up to switches that he could mount around Max's head so he could move his head and touch different buttons on the Xbox controller. And so
Wow.
Dylan was a mechanical engineering student at the time, but honestly didn't love mechanical engineering. And so he was looking for some help on that side and asked me one night if I could help him with this project. And so Dylan ended up transferring out of Northeastern, and I actually took over the project. And it was a blast. Really difficult engineering problems, but very rewarding work. And that was kind of my initial step into the space. And then from there, I ended up working for a small medical device company based in the Boston area, and then for a prosthetics company, Liberating Technologies, out of the Boston area. And that's where I really fell in love with that specific type of assistive device, prosthetics and orthotics and things like exoskeletons. And that's ultimately what led me to apply to Berkeley, which had a pretty legendary exoskeleton lab under Dr. Kazaruni. And then through that process, I also met you, and we were able to start ATDev.
Yeah, that's awesome. I always love hearing how people got started with assistive technology because I feel like always a really personal story. Either a friend or a family member has an unmet need for whatever reason.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. And so, how did you transition from being passionate about assistive technology to getting into entrepreneurship and starting a company?
So when I went to Cal, I was really just planning to continue my career as an engineer and learn more about, from a technical perspective, how do you build assistive technology, and then go work for some great assistive technology company. But then through meeting you and living in your living room and all the
Oh,
brainstorming that
so
we
it's my
did.
fault, huh?
Yeah, it's exactly. Everything in my life in some way comes back to being Owen's fault. I think that's. But you pitched me on this idea of, hey, can we use assisted devices to do daily physical therapy? It was such an awesome idea. It aligned really well with exoskeleton technology, something I was really passionate about promoting, engineering perspective, and really enjoyed that type of problem solving. And I graduated from Cal, you'd already graduated, and we wanted to continue the research we'd started together. And there was really no forum for us to do that without starting our own business. And so, as I think you and I came to that realization together towards the end of the spring semester, um, entrepreneurship just was kind of required, I guess, for us to continue to go down the path that we
Yeah,
had both fallen in love with at Cal. But I definitely, before that point, never had never taken an entrepreneurship class, never considered myself an entrepreneur, and just kind of I feel like ended up here out of necessity more than anything else.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I feel like they say entrepreneurship is just solving problems and creating things
Yes.
that don't exist already that should exist. So yeah, that
Yes.
yeah, I feel similarly. I think my journey was also inspired a lot by just necessity and having a need for additional at-home physical therapy and noticing that I was doing some of that with my robotic arm and realizing that that was potentially a scalable solution.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. 100%. The best things come out of necessity. You've already defined that somebody needs what you're building, right? And then that's the best place to start when it comes to building anything, including a business.
Yeah, at what point did you remember feeling like we were really onto something and kind of that moment of like, oh yeah, was it a external validation from an advisor or a company or investor, or was it something that was more internal?
I think maybe the most initial point was probably after we completed Dr. O'Connell's class, where we did the initial research around physical therapy robotics. And then we were able to get the small grant award from Berkeley to build some prototypes in the spring. That was certainly validating, just that we built something that wasn't just to see what letter grade we got, but that there was actually some tangible research that we could progress. And then I'd say personally, because my role has turned into, in a lot of ways, trying to raise money for the business to keep the lights on. So I, when I look back at the history of ATDev and our entrepreneurship journey, I think a lot in terms of financial milestones and how much capital we had and how much ability we had to keep the lights on. When we got our first SBIR grant from NIDLR, the National Institute of Disability Independent Living Rehabilitation Research, I was sitting on an airplane actually, and it was pretty late at night. I was on a flight to Boston, I think, and the gentleman next to me was sleeping, and I got the email from the grant agency saying that we've been awarded $100,000. And I remember jumping up and down in my seat, waking this guy up and giving him a hug. And we had at that point bought in, obviously, our team and some very close advisors, which was great, exciting. But to have what felt like a very third party group review our technical propositions and agree to give us $100,000, which at the time felt like all the money in the world compared to basically zero that we had up to that point, was incredibly validating and felt like a real big milestone for us in terms of getting the project rolling.
Yeah, that's great. I remember that moment too. That was really exciting. Yeah, and yeah, that was one of our first additions to our wall of awards.
Yes, yeah, still have it hanging up. It's hung on a couple different walls. It's hung in multiple garages and now in an office with air conditioning. So we're continuing to move up in the world.
Yeah. I kind of along those lines. What advice would you give to someone that's interested in starting a company? And I feel like, that could either be in assistive technology or prosthetics and orthopedics or venture capital in general.
I think the first thing is just to realize that it's definitely not going to be a short journey. So not to be pessimistic out of the gate, but you really, if you're thinking about starting a business, no matter what field you're in, assistive technology or otherwise, it's going to be really hard. You're going to have to work really hard for a long time, long hours, and it's not something that you should consider lightly, for sure, right? I think the
Yeah.
other thing that I would definitely recommend is that, particularly in the assistive tech space, but no matter what, you really got to get out of the building, as they say, and talk to as many people who are potential customers or users or otherwise ecosystem players around the problem and the solution that you're thinking about. Because whatever you think in your head the solution to the problem might be, or even that the problem exists, you just don't know what the rest of the world thinks, and you're not going to get an understanding of that until you get out and start talking to 100 plus people in the space. You really got to talk to quite a few people to start to get some averages and common stories coming back to you. And then I guess maybe the last thing to say would be to, you know, surround yourself as quickly as possible with other people who are passionate about the problem you're solving. I think the
Yeah.
main reason that I've been uh, other than my own personal passion for what we do at ATDev, but the main reason I think really that I've been able to pursue this for 4 years is because I'm surrounded by people like yourself who are so passionate about it and who are a great friend and a great partner, and our other teammates and coworkers who have joined us since. It's really critical that you have a group around you that cares as much about the problem and finding a solution as you do to get you through all the hardships that are going to come along with building a business. You can't do it by yourself, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, there's something, the idea of kind of a scene causing or allowing like a lot of really exciting things to happen. I think like the PayPal mafia is a great example of like all of those guys just kind of being in the same idea space
Mhm.
and creating a lot of exciting things together.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so surround. I mean, you want diversity of thought, but I think you want alignment in passion and in the, the goal or the problem that you're trying to solve.
Right, right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that definitely resonates with me for sure. And so who or what inspires you in your professional life? Getting through those long hours.
I think it's a host of things. I mean, to be honest, you inspire me quite a bit, Owen.
Oh.
just just in terms of your dedication to what we're trying to do, your passion for the space, your knowledge of the space, and your perseverance through. You've gone through several company or project building experiences, and your work in the nonprofit space. I just find that experience incredibly inspiring and motivating towards our own mission.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
That's not why I asked the question.
I know you aren't fishing for compliments, but it's true. That's 100% true, and I think it gets back to how important it is that partners in the business are really people that you really respect and share your passion. And then I think maybe the other major thing that really inspires me is that there are so many large unmet needs in the assistive technology space that
Mm,
I see there's all these technologies like artificial intelligence and brand new technologies that are enabling commercial things like self-driving cars or faster manufacturing, and then there are these unmet needs within the assistive space with people with physical disabilities or mental disabilities, where the technology, if you could get enough money behind it and enough people because of that money who could spend their full working days on that problem, you could solve these issues. Like it's not like the technology doesn't exist, but getting people aligned behind the mission and getting money into that mission to make a real difference, I find to be a very exciting problem and also a very inspiring problem. Because it
yeah,
feels like these are problems that can and should be solved, and the solution is out there from a technology perspective, right? Like when we talk about building robots to enable somebody with a quadriplegic level disability to be totally independent throughout a full day, it's not like we're dreaming up impossible technology. It's more that we have to get enough money and people into trying to solve that problem to then get it out the door. And so, because it feels so tangibly close to real, because the tech is there, it's very inspiring to me to keep charging forward through all the slog of the administrative work and the fundraising work around building a business.
yeah, that's very well put. And yeah, and inspiring too. I mean, I think that it's definitely something that I think we share our values and we're just technology is there, the know-how is there, and I think it's also a lot about economics too. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's something that I think is differentiated ATDev from some other assistive technology projects that we've seen in companies is that, for better or for worse, our healthcare ecosystem is defined by economics and the power of the dollar and reimbursement. And so, unfortunately, taking a look at that, first, right, immediately after finding the unmet need, I think is something that has been a really important differentiator for our company on our journey.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. You're building a business. You have to build a business. You got to make money as much as you are trying to solve the problem that you're trying to solve from a altruistic perspective as well. And keeping both of those true is critical to long term success.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Todd. It's been such a pleasure to chat with you, and thank you again for your insights and all that you are doing every day for the assistive technology space.
Yeah, thank you, Owen. I think I'm very excited to be on podcast episode number one. Hopefully, I get to come back at some point, but very excited to
Absolutely.
hear you talk to a lot of people who have a lot more experience in this world than I do. And yeah, talk soon.
All right. Thank you, Todd.